I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and this is Equal Entertainment. The BET Awards is celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, with Busta Rhymes and Patti LaBelle leaving us with something to talk about. Rappers Offset and Quavo paid tribute to Migos member Takeoff, who was shot and killed back in November. Patti LaBelle led a heartfelt tribute to the late Tina Turner, although she forgot the lyrics while performing Turner's hit song, Simply the Best. BET gave Busta Rhymes a Lifetime Achievement Award, bringing all of his family on stage with him for an emotional and inspiring speech. Beyoncé and ZA tied for most wins, including a rare tie for Album of the Year. The cast of Joyride took over an iconic comedy club in support of API LGBTQ+ people. Joyride hosted a night of comedy and cocktails at the Comedy Store, the cocktails inspired by the film's characters. The event also raised money for API Equality LA, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering AAPI communities to achieve equity and justice. The movie, which comes out in July, focuses on four unlikely friends on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. The director and writers for Joyride say this is the type of comedy that the world needs right now.
We love an R-rated comedy, love The Hangover, love Girls Trip, Bridesmaids, but really it was Girls Trip. I remember coming out of that theater after watching it with my girlfriends, having the best damn time and just vibrating.
I remember seeing American Pie and immediately needing to go back and see it again 24 hours later after having told a bunch of my friends how funny it was.
But I think that comedy comes from when you relate to something. That's why I love watching stand-up comedy. It's when somebody can take from their personal specific experience and make everybody laugh, that means that we all kind of relate to that, even if it's something that we don't think we would have experienced.
Laughter is laughter. Laughter is raw. It's instinctual.
Right now, everyone's watching comedy in bite-sized, one-minute things on their phone. I think comedy is the best way to deliver a story. And whatever message you have, it's able to be received well. It's like a pill that's easier to swallow.
When you're in a theater and you hear multiple people you've never met before laugh at the same exact time at the same exact thing as you just don't feel alone. You're just like, man, this is great. We're all weird, huh? We're all weird? This is good. I love it.
There's something about being in a theater and laughing with a bunch of strangers that like makes you really feel like good in humanity again. Everyone disagrees about something, but for all of them to laugh at something very dumb is really cool. And that's something that you can only get in the theaters. You're not like laughing with other people by yourself at home.
I think comedies are the perfect kinds of film, and this genre of film is perfect for a theatrical experience because to laugh with people is, I think, the best kind of medicine and therapy. And I think that this is absolutely a movie in a genre where you have to be in that shared space and community with people.
I believe in people again. I believe in community, and I feel like we really need that right now.
Joyride hits theaters on July 7th. Hamilton is no longer waiting for it. The original cast recording from the Broadway musical is now the first ever cast recording to go diamond. Hamilton now has over 6 billion streams worldwide. Out of the 46 songs on the album, 34 have gone platinum, while 18 went gold. All members of the original cast will be presented with a diamond plaque, including creator Lin-Manuel Miranda. Fans are still bewildered about the Black Mirror episode Beyond the Sea. The 2001 A Space Odyssey-inspired story tackled some big science fiction premises, but also gave a glimpse of a family life in the late 1960s and the isolation that housewives experienced. Mara and Josh Hartnett spoke with me about the episode's strong parallels with life today. Congratulations on the episode. It's terrific. And I want to go to you first, Josh, and talk to you a little bit about I know that's a period piece, but it's also incredibly timely in terms of this kind of sentient AI being. And just talk a little bit about diving into that kind of topical issue that we're facing right now.
I would say that this isn't AI so much as it is like putting yourself in a avatar, right? So but AI being the topic that is on everybody's lips right now, I would say that we're in a place right now that's like a tipping point, and it's perfect for a Black Mirror episode. But I know that Charlie didn't want to do that. I know that he wanted to move into something that was more about isolation and more about what happens to people when they feel like they've lost all chance of love or lost all hope. And I think that's why it was set in the 1960s as well, because hope is the sort of name of the game back then, especially when it came to science and space. The NASA program was just, and I know this isn't taken from exact reality, but like that whole spirit of like, we are going to go and we're going to colonize the moon was still very much a part of the world until, you know, the late 60s, and things sort of took a bad turn. And so I think he wanted to go back to that pre-cynical time as far as the space race go, and sort of juxtapose that against the darkness of the ending. And I think it was the right choice, perfect, personally.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, you know, Kate, you play a 60s housewife who has hopes and dreams that are unfulfilled. And would you just chat a little bit about, I mean, those are the kinds of depictions of 60s housewives that we didn't get back then because they were just in the house. So would you talk a little bit about kind of giving this narrative to, you know, a woman of the 60s?
Yeah, I mean, sort of also, you know, touching on what Josh said about how it's so much about isolation, right? And how that affects all of us. And I think that all of us now really have experienced it in some way because of COVID. And so I think it's very relatable. Whatever version of isolation you feel. I think particularly for my character, Lana, she feels isolated because her husband, even when he's there, they're not connecting in an emotional way. And so, you know, that can feel really lonely. And I think that, again, a lot of people relate to that today. And I think in the 60s, even more so for women, where it was much more unique to not be a stay-at-home, you know, housewife and mother. So it was definitely interesting to explore those themes as well.
I saw a lot of Joan Didion in Lana.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. Interesting, but yeah, I agree. There were lots of different sort of like one of the things that I loved about making this as well and playing her was like, you know, I always listen to different music when if it's a period piece, especially. So listening to like very specifically like music from that time and like reading, the character loves to read. She's reading constantly in the episodes. So reading those books as well, it just puts you in a different mindset.
Former Bangles frontwoman Susanna Hoffs has a new album out called The Deep End and a new memoir called This Bird Has Flown. I spoke with her about her impact with the LGBTQ+ community. The Bangles and your career has always been a light for LGBTQ+ people because of the joy and just feeling welcomed. And would you talk a bit about what it means to you to amplify the voices of people like Joy and Brandy and what it's meant to you to be embraced by the LGBTQ+ community over the decades?
It means everything. It's just a beautiful thing. And I grew up in a very open household where everything, the idea of, you know, how to be a human being. It was all about just, we're human beings and no two are alike, you know? Yeah. And I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. So, you know, when the Sunset Strip, when people like David Bowie, for example, was like a huge presence in my like life of the 70s. And the idea of gender being, of conformity and gender, it just always seemed like I didn't really understand why people had to box everyone in that way.
You can watch the Advocate Channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and thank you for watching.